Welcome to Cyberscoop TV. I'm Wyatt Kash, and we're here at the Andrew Mellon Auditorium at CyberTalks. And we're here today talking with Chris Valentino. Chris is the Director of Joint Cyberspace Programs at Northrop Grumman. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, you're welcome, Wyatt. Thank you.
I know we just pulled you off the stage to come up and talk to us, but let me just talk initially about, this year's been kind of a hallmark hack year, if you will, for Equifax, SEC, a lot of organizations obviously trying to deal with everything. What would be some of the ways you see organizations being able to change the way they approach cybersecurity?
I think first from a technology perspective, it really starts with hygiene and applying the necessary patches and advancements in technologies that exist to help counter those types of threats. I mean, for the most part, if you look at what we've seen this year, it's really been around process management and hygiene, in one respect. On point two, though, then is the training of the specific either cyber defense operators, the people responsible for the infrastructure, and the actual users themselves to make sure they're being vigilant on the infrastructure.
And I know generally organizations have been relatively reactive. What would be some of your recommendations on how organizations can become more proactive in dealing with cybersecurity threats?
Well, first and foremost, I think it starts with a common set of requirements and processes that can be implemented within an organization. That's kind of step one. And then step two is actually implementing the process, training the users and training the operators on how to operate in that type of environment. Again, for the most part, we see is that the processes either exist or the technologies exist or the patches are there, but they don't get applied because the organization or the institution is not either attuned to it, or they have a cycle or a fixed schedule that they stick to, and they're going to stick to that schedule. And unfortunately, the cyber attackers don't work off our schedule, they work off their own.
Let's talk a little about the workforce challenge. Government as well as the commercial world is continuing to struggle to attract and groom more cybersecurity professionals. What are some of the ways you think organizations could accelerate that? Well,
certainly there's a shortage, and it's acknowledged by everyone that there aren't enough people within this domain. And most often people think that's purely a STEM challenge. There's just not a lot of people in the science, technology, engineering, and math disciplines. And that's true. There's also not enough people in the other domains, either in the arts or pure sciences or policy organizations and disciplines, where those folks need to be part of the equation too. At Northrop, we've been really focused on the ecosystem, creating a cyber ecosystem from elementary school, middle school, high school, and into college. And our programs and investments have been about really creating a much broader workforce, starting very early, and make sure that people are focused and understand the opportunity space that exists in this type of job market.
Well, and lastly, cybersecurity has tended to kind of have a negative connotation when it gets brought up, but what are some of the positive elements of the cybersecurity space and maybe some of the bright spots you see on the horizon?
Yeah, well, certainly from a cybersecurity perspective, there's a lot of negativity as far as the reporting that happens on bad things that happen in cyberspace. From a user perspective, people associate cybersecurity with yet another password or yet another thing I have to use to log into a system. But from a cybersecurity perspective, implementing these things allows people quicker access to different systems, quicker access to applications, better access to all sorts of common public services that we take for granted that are all enabled by cyber.
Well, Chris, I really appreciate you stopping by just briefly to chat a little bit about your insights on what you see going on in cybersecurity. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Wyatt.
Look for more of our videos on our YouTube channel, and for more of our coverage on cybersecurity, check us out at cyberscoop.com. I'm Wyatt Kash. Thanks for being with us.